having the power to really understand and say, hey, this is not my lane.
Yeah.
I need someone that can help me with that lane. Because I think as women entrepreneurs, we feel so, oh man, what is the word? Burdened with, I have to do it myself. I have to do everything. I have to manage every piece of this. I have to get every component done by myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what holds people back.
Thanks for tuning in to Talking with Teri TV. I'm your host, Teri Cardula. And today we're interviewing a female entrepreneur who has broke past her barriers and elevated her business to create massive impact. Today, we get to unpack her secrets to her success so that you can follow in her footsteps. Welcome, Jessie Pellant, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Teri.
Yes, I'm super excited. We were chatting we got introduced and then we were chatting on Zoom the other day and just getting to know each other and everything. And I just can't wait to unpack some of your success stories because I think as women entrepreneurs, we all aspire to creating a bigger impact. And I think sometimes we get trapped by what that looks like. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about your story and background and how you got to be where you're at today. And so just fill us in a little bit on your journey.
Okay, sure. So I started, I'm an IP lawyer, which means, we're doing patents, trademarks, copyrights. And I started out sort of working for big firms and focusing on, just getting into the industry, doing the grind, right?
Yeah.
Becoming like a well-known associate at a big firm. Like when you come out of law school, that's the dream, right? And then over time, the dream started to fade, mostly because of, family obligations. At that point, my husband's also at a large firm. We both have, a lot of very high demands. Billable hours are high at those kinds of firms. And so the time came where someone would need to take a step back if we were going to, raise a family. And so that became me, and thus the birth of Studio IP. So it was fast. I remember sitting in A. Bason's lodge, laptop, kids are in ski school, and great, let's start a company. So
love it.
Yeah. And so got it up and running, within 2 days, and there it was. So the path, I think, to, starting that journey, at least for lawyers, is made to seem very scary. You're quote unquote hanging a shingle.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem to be as prestigious. And there's just a lot of stigma around it.
Oh, that's interesting because I think in most other industries, it is considered more prestigious to hang your own shingle, which is interesting.
Yeah. Very different approach to it with law firms. Yeah. And then people sort of assume that, you maybe couldn't make it at the bigger firms, or maybe you couldn't get hired by them, or, all of that sort of can come along with it. Because I had the background already, I didn't really care as much. I think I sort of thought, I have that knowledge. I have institutional clients already.
Yeah.
I think I can do this.
Institutional clients.
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound sexy at all.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing is I know that less than 2% of women make it to that 7-figure mark. And what would you share with, and again, you've grown this to a multiple 7-figure company. So how, what would you say has been some of your biggest challenges that you've faced along the way?
The biggest challenges, I guess, understanding how to grow, in what ways, specifically, do you make product offerings different? How do you approach the law in a different way than other people, like in terms of making yourself stand out? I think that
because you have 2 arms of your business.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that to the audience, just kind of your 2 arms of the company and how those work together? Because it's pretty brilliant. Like when I was listening to you, I was like, that's really brilliant because you've kind of created this loop.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a creative agency and we have a law firm. And so because of that, right, you are able to now brand an entire company as well as legally protect that company at the same time. It's a symbiotic relationship. Right hand knows what left is doing. We're changing the industry standard for how powerhouse brands are built and protected. Having everything under one roof and having a brand protector and brand creator be working together is, an invaluable part. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I love it. Because it makes a lot of sense, and you can scale your business because you really have these two entities that are working together, and it's scaling it together, which is just really brilliant.
Yeah. And the ability then to market to very different clients is also there, right? If you have clients that maybe need both, that's best of both worlds, right? That's a champagne client. But if you've got somebody that just may be coming in for, some SEO work or website development, that's great. But then there's also opportunity later. Oh, by the way, did you know that your website uses these cookies? And there's a need for data privacy protection. And we can handle that for you. So understanding, but when you said, what are the obstacles in terms of that growth? It's understanding, how do I see these paths? How do I understand what clients might need? How do we craft this in a way that makes it easy for businesses to digest, to potential clients to digest? How do you navigate that? How do you know when to grow? How do you know when to hire new attorneys? That sort of thing, because the work will come. But it's that chicken and the egg thing. Right?
Have you found a great strategy for that as far as when to bring on? Because for us in the counseling world, we always had those I used to hate numbers. And then I started falling in love with numbers. And then it's okay, so then I was okay, what's our capacity? And once you knew what those capacity numbers were, you're okay, once we hit this, we're ready for the new person. It's going to take 6 weeks for that person to be fully filled, and then from there it's you know what I'm saying? So did you find a strategy in there to kind of help people? Because I think people growing a business and scaling in business, that will be one of their biggest
pitfalls
maybe, or just uncertainties around how to navigate that without putting their business further into the red or further in at risk of something happening.
I think choosing to make the investment in someone that knows the numbers is huge. For me, that was, finding a fractional CFO. She changed my life, has helped me fall in love with numbers like you. I'm an attorney. I also hate numbers. So, but having the power to really understand and say, hey, this is not my lane. I need someone that can help me with that lane. Because I think as women entrepreneurs, we feel so, what is the word? Burdened with, I have to do it myself. I have to do everything. I have to manage every piece of this. I have to get every component done by myself. And I think that's what holds people back. Because A, you can't. B, a lot of these things are not going to be your lane. Most often we're the visionary, we're the creative voice. We have a lot of great ideas. We maybe aren't the best at implementing them, or maybe we're not the best at understanding when to pull those cords, right? And so having her tell me, okay, so if you're to hire XYZ, they need to be billing this many hours. They need to be at this billable hourly rate. You need to have this many flat fee packages. It needs to be at this much. That is then the power that you need to say, okay, great. So I know that in the next 6 months, these are my benchmarks, right?
And then that's perfect.
But like you said, falling in love with numbers is really important.
Well, and the other thing too is, and I have said this before, is going back to the E-Myth Revisited, and they talked about systems and creating that structure in your business. And one of the things that I loved, and I still will encourage clients to look at from the standpoint is taking and creating your company flow chart. You're the CEO, and then just putting 2 or 3 statements behind, which all the other roles, bookkeeper, office admin, the key widget maker, the supervisor, all the things that you're doing. And then I always say okay, what is the thing that you hate the most? Because the thing that you hate the most energetically, and for me it was bookkeeping, and I got 3 months behind on billing because I was I have to, you know what? Shiny, sparkly. Oh, this is fun. Let's create this, And then I'd be oh, it's Friday. We should probably bill. you know what? It's Friday. Let's go. And so I got like 3 months behind. I'm like, this is not okay. That's not okay in any business because I wasn't invoicing people that owed me money. And so I realized it's like, okay, and from an energetic perspective, that bogged not only me down, but the energy of the company down, right? And so it's like, how do you outsource those things? And so you can be, like you were saying, in your zone of genius, which is, maybe that's the visionary, or maybe that's the, head widget maker in the beginning,
Yeah.
So as you build out your team, and then I did the same thing. I kind of backfilled it. I'm like, what's the next thing I don't like? Oh, I don't like admin. What's the next thing I don't like? Oh, I don't like, and it just helped fill that in from a strategic standpoint of like, how do I help build my business because a lot of times, unless you have capital coming into a business, which I would say the majority of my clients or the clients I've worked with in the past, it's been 90%, that don't have capital, So
Yeah.
Was that the case for you? Having capital, or did you have capital bringing into the business, or did you start without?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Completely bootstrapped.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I jumped with, clients. I had in the law firm world, it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
You sort of build this book of business when you're at larger firms. You sort of gain clients. But there is sort of, typically, associates are not the ones that are bringing in clients. It's partners. You are servicing other attorneys at that firm, or you're servicing clients that are firm clients. However, if you're lucky enough, you're able to be building your own book of business, creating your own book of clients. So I had done that, and I had known, I had moved twice. It's not uncommon, especially for IP attorneys in the Denver area, to move several firms.
Right.
And they had come with me every time. So I think I had grown some confidence in terms of understanding that, they'll come with me. They trust me
Right.
as, their legal advisor.
Yeah.
They like working with me, and so they'll come with me. And they did. So when they're given, because as attorney clients, you have to give them the option.
Right.
You can either stay with this firm, or you can go with this attorney.
Yeah.
Or you can go find somebody else.
Yeah.
And you sort of give them a letter, and then they have a choice. And they had already done that twice to come with me. So I was sort of feeling confident about the fact that they would come with me again.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So as a female entrepreneur, what has been some of your challenges that you've been faced just from that perspective?
With gender being.
Yeah, I just think that we were just talking about, we had an individual in here, we're talking about, just kind of the attorney world is primarily male driven,
Oh, yes.
male dominated, world. And so as you're rising, the ranks and establishing yourself and your brand and your impact in the world, I know that I have faced, my own personal challenges of being a female in this world, and I'm assuming you've faced some of those challenges as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, that's part of the reason why I'm on the National Conference of Women's Bar Associations. I'm on their board. We're trying to sort of make changes systemically in the law industry because there's a higher percentage of women going to law school.
Yay.
Compared to the number of women partners that are at law firms.
Oh, interesting.
It's a giant disparity. And to throw out percentages at this point, right, without having them for sure, but generally, you're looking at 80% of, law schools are bringing in mostly women, and then you've got like 2% of most of the higher large firms. That's the number of women they have in power in their high positions. As partners at those firms. So there's a large disparity. It's always talked about, with all these organizations. Colorado Women's Bar Association is how I got affiliated with the National Women's Bar. And it's important to understand that there are some things that are just, never going to change necessarily, that are like part of who we are, right? Anthropology. We're talking like ingrained.
Yes.
And part of that, I think, is that women want to have a family, at least a small portion of them, right?
Yeah.
Or a large portion of them. But either way, you want to be a part of that. You want to be a part of raising kids if you choose to have kids.
Yeah.
And it becomes impossible when you're looking at, very large billable hours. You're looking at big commitments in terms of outside of the workplace. And so those are obstacles and barriers to being successful in that industry. So one of my goals in starting Studio IP was to have a law firm that is profitable, that allows for, and I don't like the word balance, because to me, it's not balanced.
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
Right. It's about priorities.
Yeah.
And if family is a priority for you, you need to be able to put that first, even if you are an attorney, even if you are a successful businesswoman.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about being allowed to have priorities.
Yeah.
So for me, having this law firm, it was important that people can have priorities that they want to have, right? Whether that's time with hobbies or whether that's whatever it may be, but it can still be a successful model. So with that, the idea is that if we can scale this on a grand scale and prove that that is possible, then you are helping, hopefully, a whole group of other law firms see what's working, what's successful. They're,
modeling that.
Keeping women, yes, and then they'll start to model that. Yeah. So it's, on a grander scale, that's something that I'm trying to do. So personally, the struggle that I had in terms of being able to manage both, that's sort of what led me to that. Further, I'd say, women are discounted in terms of the legitimacy of our ideas. It's sort of, even a younger male associate may have the same idea that I do, but what I say will be forgotten or dismissed. But if someone else says it, it'll be, resonate with people, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. You just sort of get looked over.
So in your company now, I mean, and it sounds like that you're making some changes, like you're passionate and cognizant and also intentional about that. How are you shaping that within your team as you grow in your team?
Yeah, I mean, as I grow in my team, we have a lot of women on our team. Yeah. I have one male intern right now, and I work with a couple male attorneys, but also I have chosen male attorneys to work with that are intentional, that are aware of that issue, that are surrounded by strong women, that love, strong women and ideas that sort of have the same mindset that I do. Yeah. And so that's sort of the intentional piece. Like you said, intentional leadership, being very cognizant of choices that I make along the way, expressing that, there's opportunities for each, party, like making sure that everything feels, I'm going to go back to that word balanced, but in this way, it actually makes sense. Right? Right. That it is, these balanced opportunities.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some more juicy secrets from Jessie Pellant. Is fear holding your business back from creating a bigger impact? If so, it is time to break free from those limitations so that you can step into your power, your purpose, and your potency. Come join us at Breaking Beyond so that we can move from surviving to thriving.
I think it's a really cool event. I love when anything's empowering other women to do great things with themselves.
Breaking Beyond the Six-Figure Barrier, how to cultivate a millionaire mindset. Friday, April 19th at the Comedy Work DTC Landmark. Be a part of a community of entrepreneurs who are elevating their business to financial freedom. Learn the secrets of their success and make them your own.
I am taking away that there's inspiration and there is a sisterhood in recognizing the power of self, the power of loving yourself, of having hope for the future.
I can't wait to see you on April 19th at Breaking Beyond. Join us, click the link, and get started today. And we're back with Jessie Pellant, and we've been unpacking kind of some of your secrets behind business, but I can't not address if there's been like any challenges or kind of from a personal development standpoint. Like, have you found yourself overcoming, we were talking offline about kind of some of the big, like the top 5 biggest blocks that entrepreneurs face, whether that's, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, getting stuck in fear, overwhelm, or even self-sabotage. Like for you, what was your story around that?
Yeah. I would definitely say that self-sabotage is a thing.
Yeah.
And you only notice it when someone tells you that it exists. And you think, wait, so I would get all of these great accolades and then I'd have, the worst month I've ever had, right? Or, all these great things would happen. And then a client would, I've never had a client have any issues with anything before. Why are they, struggling with this invoice I sent them? Or why are they challenging what my decision is for them? And, it became that revelation of, okay, this is actually probably, I'm bringing this on myself because there's in some way I'm thinking I'm not deserving of what I'm creating. I'm somehow, thinking I'm not actually supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to be successful. There will always be roadblocks.
Yeah.
And to start to do the real work of, getting in a headspace where I believe at my core that I am worthy of all of it.
Yes.
And that I'm capable of achieving that goal that I want. And then starting to envision that goal that I've got in a real tangible manner, right? So we're talking vision boards. We're talking,
I love it.
yeah, Pinterest, shout out Pinterest, that you've got, the vision. So mine had always been, right? I'm like across the nation, we've got all these firms that have roll up garage doors. It's white tables that have the creative sitting on one side, the legal on the other. There's a coffee shop there. You're getting the good work done for these clients with both these teams there working together to achieve the end goal.
Yeah.
But having the vision, seeing it come together, believing that it's possible, so many great things have then started to pile in. All of those barriers that started to build or that would stop me and in my tracks have all started to go away.
And the more you become conscious of it, and I tell people all the time, the more you become conscious of those limiting beliefs or the self-sabotage, and yes, in the beginning, someone has to point it out. And then once you become aware of it, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then you start to become aware of it. And once you become aware of it, the awareness of it just helps dissipate it significantly just by bringing awareness to it.
But also that awareness came for me from meeting other women who are either entrepreneurs or coaches. That's where the strength came from. So that's amazing because it was this community that then gave me the knowledge, the power, the support, and that sort of allowed me then to say, oh, wow, these women want me to be who I am. They are encouraging me to own my space, to own my vision. They are saying it's possible. And before that had never happened, right?
And when you find a really great community and they are truly, and we had Kuna and Moore from HGTV on our live event at Breaking Beyond last, and she had talked about, it was interesting what she found was the people in her support system wanted her to be successful and they're like, go, 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 go. And as soon as she went to the next level, they're like, wait. She just went to the next level and it kind of got disruptive for her. So then she ended up having to find almost new friends at the new level, which energetically makes total sense because you kind of outgrow people. Either they come with you or you outgrow them. And then from an energetic, it creates this dissonance. But it was really kind of an interesting dynamic what she was experiencing. But if you find a great community, they're going to see you succeed and they're going to be right alongside with you. And it's just we're doing this together, there's power in that. And again, who was the guy that said, was it Jim Rowe? You become the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right?
Right.
And that is, and that's an energetic, that's really powerful, powerful place to play in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what was your kind of defining moment, or what were some of the things that you had to work on yourself? Because again, when you're starting a business, you are also signing up for consciously or unconsciously personal development track, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that you had to work on yourself to get yourself to the place you're at today?
Discipline, especially, now we're all babies of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Some way or another. And the discipline that you have to have in terms of, being an entrepreneur is real. And it can be really fulfilling no matter what position you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, to have very strong discipline, right? So I'm someone that, I'm up the same time every day. I have a workout regimen. I gotta get me space, right? And then understanding that the work will always be there.
Yeah, that's true.
And it just will. So no matter what, you still gotta go on your walk. You still have to make time for the self-care, right? It's not an indulgence, it's a priority because that's what makes the business run well, right? And so you need to be number one in terms of your mental health, your physical health, all of those things, right? It all sort of tracks that needs to be number one. So working on the self-discipline was probably my one like largest thing that I needed.
Well, and also as a mom, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think balancing as an entrepreneur, you know, and a mom, like there's a lot on your plate and there's a lot that you have to balance, you know, again, try to balance, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Word of the day, balance. I feel like Pee-wee Herman. But, you know, like, so, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, my team included, you know, what has been some of your secrets to success in balancing or trying to balance or prioritize all of that to where it makes sense and it works, and so that things are not falling off the plate?
Probably two things. First and foremost, compartmentalize. So having the ability to put your phone down when it is family time, right? Okay, great. Now we're going to pick up the kids from school. Now it's homework time. You know, now I'm watching a soccer game. Now it's whatever. The phone is away.
Yeah.
I'm engaged with them. I'm taking that space fully and I'm not checking in, right?
Yeah.
To be disjointed and half there, you know, because we all fail, right?
Yeah.
So of course I'll have a moment or something and it's immediately noticed, right?
Yeah.
The 6-year-old is going, I've said your name 3 times. You're not paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like they notice and they feel it. And that's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to whatever you're being distracted with either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the compartmentalization is important also with the business too, right? So I've got, you know, a certain number of days. I used to take Tuesday, Thursdays off to be with my kiddo before she started kindergarten.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was fabulous because we would go on hikes, we'd go skiing, we would take the time to just be with each other.
Yeah.
Once that was gone, I had to learn how to build in, oh, well, I don't really want to lose that space. Yeah. So I'm going to build in time that will still be some sort of creative hobby or, you know, time for me. And or now I find that's my creative time to spend on the business.
Yeah.
That's my big thinking time.
Yeah.
But
love it.
But it's not going away, right? I just block it off and I keep it. And it's very valuable because it's what's elevating the business consistently to the next level. Is making that space for.
Yeah, I want to pause for a second and highlight that because I love that big thinking time, right? Because I love, you know, compartmentalizing my calendar as well and, you know, blocking. But I think that's really important. Like, where's your thinking time? For me, mine is at the hot tub. Like last night, Mary called me and I said, I'm in the hot tub because this is how that's my thinking time and that's my creative time. So whatever works for you, but build it in, create the space for it, you know?
Yeah.
Love it.
Exactly. That. And then also, so the second thing I think would be, you know, yes, the reminders, the calendars. I mean, having that calendar clean and planning ahead, that was a game changer for me. So the yearly calendar comes, right, at the end of December. Yeah. It's now up on the wall. You know, shout out to my last business coach because that's what she did. She's like, you've got to look ahead for the year. These are the things you're going to be excited about, right? Because these are your vacations. These are, you know, the weekends that you're going to conferences. So you got to plan around that. But getting ahead of anything that might seem overwhelming later because you haven't thought about it. You haven't planned all the childcare you need. You know, you got to call the in-laws or have them fly in or whatever the case may be to manage that calendar. Planning ahead and having a system in place is really important.
Which is also ties back into the discipline, right? Yeah. And committing to yourself. And that's part of self-care. You know, I was just talking to someone the other day and I was like, when you can have structure to your day and your routine, you can actually create the space for spontaneity. Because I love being spontaneous and I love being curious and I love engaging in that and I love playing in a big way in that way. But when you have everything else is scheduled and, you know, structured, you're like, oh yeah, and we have the freedom to play. So I love it. Okay, so as we wrap up, what are some final words of advice or nuggets that you can share with the audience of how you've created a, you know, multiple 7-figure business, you know, standing in your power and owning your brilliance?
Oh boy, advice to other, I mean, that's a big,
I know it's a big loaded question and we have about 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding.
So take very minimal time.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, take as long as you need.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that the advice would be that you need to have people around you that love and support you.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to be having fun and enjoying your life. So if you're not, you need to pivot and do something different.
AKA, she's referencing being a button pusher. I'll explain later.
But it sounds great. So yes, I am 100% advocating for that.
I love it. Okay, so having fun. Anything else before I cut you off there?
Oh, no,
Okay.
yeah, that's great. Gosh, anything else? You really need to diversify, I would say. So instead of constantly thinking about this is the one thing that I want to be doing, is allow yourself the ability to, think about it in a different way. You need to diversify what you're doing and finding different avenues to either gain new source of clients, offer what you're already offering, but present it in a new way.
Yeah.
All of those things, because somehow, right, you've got to be willing to change it up if you're going to scale and grow. And then you have to be willing to take advice from others, because being humble and knowing that we don't know everything is really important.
Yeah.
There's so many people that, I know a very limited amount, and I'm just a big idea person.
Yeah.
So I lean heavily on all these other brilliant, amazing people that have come into my life, to share some light on that. But being open to that is really important. You can't think that you know everything. Or, you're going to get stuck somewhere along the way.
Yeah. I love it. That's brilliant. Okay, where can people connect with you or hear more about you?
I mean, our website, we've got studioip.com, and, you can email me from there.
Perfect.
And I think even our phone number and all that stuff's there too.
Awesome.
So website's
Awesome.
easiest.
Well, this has been most delightful. Thank you so much for bringing in your joy. And I can't wait to see your huge expansion. And at some point, we're going to see, Studio IP everywhere.
Thank you. I certainly hope so.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, be bold, be brave, be fearless, be the magic of you. Massive love to all of you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell to find out about my upcoming shows. Thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time.